So before we get started, we need to learn the parts of our instrument. So let's just start at the top. This is the scroll. It's the one thing that doesn't really have a purpose. It's just there to look pretty. Hypothetically, they could just chop it off right here and your instrument would still work fine. Everything else though on your instrument has a purpose, so that's important to remember. This is called pegs. You have 4 of them, 1 for each string. They tune your strings. Now, do not touch them. As a beginner, trust me, do not touch them. That is the fastest way to get a broken string. Eventually, we'll teach you enough that you'll be able to touch them, and I'll show you later one thing that you could use to tune, but do not use your pegs unless you're trained to do so. The pegs are housed in the peg box, that makes sense. This little thing at the top here is where the string kind of starts to be clear of the peg box, and that's called the nut. So the nut is where the string kind of starts. This is called the fingerboard, not really a creative name because it's the board that you put your fingers on. This is the neck, that's where your hand goes. Here we have the F holes because they kind of look like F's. And now this is a very important part. This is called the bridge. So the bridge is a very skinny piece of wood that is not glued down. It is not stuck there in any way. It is only standing up because of the pressure that the strings put on. Now this is really important to know because if you bonk the bridge or rest your instrument on it or something, it will fall or it will break. And that is not a good thing. If it breaks, that's obviously you would need to go to a store. If it falls, it's possible that I could put it back up, but I might not do it in exactly the right spot. If you look inside of your F holes, you will also see that there is something called a sound post inside of your instrument. The sound post is also not glued down. It is there standing up because of the pressure of the bridge, because of the pressure of the strings. So if your bridge falls, the sound post might fall, and that's definitely something that a violin maker or music store would have to fix. That's not something I can do. I tell you this because you need to be very, very careful of your bridge. Never ever set your instrument down, bridge down. It should always be on its back. If you're a cello or bass, it's actually very safe to put it on its side when you're setting it down. And you just need to be very aware of that. Don't lay it on your lap that way or anything. The bridge is very fragile and very important. The other tuning thing I mentioned is fine tuners. Now my violin only has 1, but yours will have 4. That is something that if you use those, it just minorly changes the pitch and you shouldn't be able to break a string with that. I'm going to teach you a little later how to tune your own instrument, but that's for the record. If your parent is a musician and they're feeling brave, they still can't touch the pegs. But if they want to touch the fine tuners, that's fine. Then we've got the tailpiece. For violins and violas, we have a chin rest right here. That's kind of a misnomer because when you put it up, it's more on your jaw, not on your chin. And then back here, there's the button that holds everything together. That holds the tailpiece there. Cellos and basses will have something called an end pin that comes out the bottom as well.